Draco slouches in his seat next to you, looking as bored as ever. He leans back, twirling his wand between his fingers, shooting you occasional sidelong glances. The Dark Lord's voice drones on, but Draco seems to tune it out, barely paying attention. Instead, he's preoccupied with casting small, harmless spells on random objects in the room, making them move subtly out of corner of your eye. Draco rolls his eyes at your whispered demand, but he obliges, tucking his wand back into his robes. He shoots you a sidelong glance, a hint of irritation in his gaze. Spoil my fun, why don't you? He leans back in his seat, folding his arms across his chest and huffing slightly. Despite his annoyance, he seems amused by your reaction, a glint of something almost like affection flickering across his expression.
The Dark Lord's gaze sweeps across the room, pausing briefly on you and Draco. A thin smile plays at the corner of his lips as he begins speaking, his voice cold and commanding. The boy who lived has evaded us for far too long. We will not let him elude us any longer. The tension in the room grows palpable as the Dark Lord outlines his plan to eliminate Harry Potter once and for all.
Draco's fingers curl around the edge of the table, his jaw tensing slightly. The mention of Harry Potter's name hangs heavily in the air, and the room falls into an abrupt silence. All eyes are on the Dark Lord, and an air of anticipation hangs over the company. Draco's gaze flicks towards him, and a flicker of something, fear, anger, passes across his face before he masks it once again with an aloof expression.
The Dark Lord's smile grows a fraction wider as he continues speaking, his words dripping with malice and spite. Potter is our greatest adversary. He has caused us far too much trouble, and it is time for him to pay the price for his transgressions. His gaze sweeps over the room once more, pausing briefly on Draco before moving on. All of you are here for a reason. You are my most loyal and trusted followers. I expect your full cooperation in carrying out this plan.
Despite your attempt to hide your nerves, Draco notices the way your fingers fidget and your gaze falters. He's used to dealing with your anxious tendencies, having spent enough time around you at school to know your tells. Draco shoots you a sidelong glance, his expression carefully guarded. For a moment, the mask of disdain slips, replaced by a hint of concern. He leans slightly towards you, keeping his voice low so only you can hear. You're doing that thing with your hands again. Draco's observation hits close to home. He's seen you do this countless times before. Fidget, avoid eye contact, retreat into yourself. It's a pattern he's come to expect from you, and despite his earlier indifference, he can't help but feel a twinge of concern. He shifts in his seat, angling his body slightly towards you, his voice a low, quiet rumble. Just take a breath, yeah?
The Dark Lord's attention turns towards you, a glimmer of pride in his eyes. Ah, my child, have you been successful in your mission? His gaze is expectant, but there's a hint of satisfaction already in his expression. He knows you're loyal, he knows you'll deliver.
Draco shifts uncomfortably in his seat, his fingers tapping against the armrest in a subtle show of annoyance. Draco's quick interjection cuts off your stuttering response, his tone calm and confident. We searched the Gryffindor chambers as you requested, my lord. We have yet to find anything that resembles a Horcrux. He maintains a neutral expression, betraying nothing of the truth.
He gazes at you and Draco, his expression bordering on amusement. Both of you were together. He asks, a slight smirk playing at the corner of his lips as if suggesting something.
Draco stiffens, his jaw clenching subtly. His cheeks flush ever so slightly, but he maintains his composed exterior.
The Dark Lord's amusement grows more evident as he continues, his gaze flickering between you and Draco with satisfaction. I didn't know the two of you were an item, he mused, a smirk playing at the corner of his lips. How delightful. His words are filled with a hint of excitement and pride, reveling in the idea of you and Draco as a power couple.
Before you can even open your mouth, Draco swiftly cuts in, his tone authoritative and firm. Yes, my lord, we are a couple. He speaks with conviction, his gaze locked with the Dark Lord's, as if challenging anyone to question his words.
The Dark Lord chuckles softly, the corners of his eyes crinkling in amusement as he sees your forced smile and glances between you and Draco. How perfect, he murmurs, his gaze appraising.
Draco, on the other hand, keeps his composure, though you catch a glimmer of something else in his eyes, an emotion you can't quite place, before he masks it with his usual cold facade.
The Dark Lord's gaze lingers on you and Draco for a moment, his expression calm as he sets forth his request. "Ah, my young couple," he says, a hint of a smile playing at the corner of his lips. "I require you to find and acquire the invisibility cloak belonging to Harry Potter. During your search for the Horcruxes, did you happen to come across it?"
Draco's jaw tightens momentarily, but he maintains his composed demeanor. He shakes his head slightly. "No, my lord, we did not," he replies, his voice steady and smooth. "We searched every inch of Gryffindor's common room and the surrounding areas, but there was no trace of the cloak."
The Dark Lord's gaze flicks between you and Draco once more, his expression calculating. "You're certain of this?" he presses, a hint of skepticism in his tone. The Dark Lord studies you and Draco for a moment, contemplating your answer. Then, his expression hardening, he addresses both of you. "Be thorough," he instructs. "Check his dorm. The cloak could be hidden in a secret compartment or charmed to be indistinguishable from the surroundings. Find it." Your soft protest draws a raised eyebrow from the Dark Lord, his gaze hardening slightly. "Surely there must be a way to bypass that minor inconvenience," he says, his voice cool and commanding. "If the cloak is there, I expect you to find it. There are many ways to open locked doors, are there not?"
Draco, sensing the Dark Lord's growing impatience, swiftly interjects with a confident reply before you can respond. "Yes, my lord," he says with a decisive nod, his voice steady and controlled. "There are many ways to open locked doors. We'll find a way to get into his dorm and retrieve the cloak." Feeling the tremors in your leg as you fidget next to him, Draco's hand instinctively reaches out under the table, gently grazing your leg. His touch is subtle, but firm and reassuring, a silent gesture meant to calm you. Surprised by your rejection, Draco's hand falters mid-motion, his gaze flickering momentarily to your face. His expression hardens, a mix of irritation and confusion flashing in his eyes before he retracts his hand and focuses his attention back on the Dark Lord, feigning indifference. Draco's jaw clenches at your sharp, hushed command, his irritation growing. He shoots you a quick glare before responding through gritted teeth. "As if I'd want to touch you anyway," he hisses back, his voice low and sharp. "I was just trying to help you calm down. You're shaking the whole damn table." As people begin to disperse and mingle, Draco remains seated next to you for a moment, his expression tense and brooding. He keeps a careful eye on you, noticing the slight tremble in your body and the way you clench and unclench your fists nervously. As the others exit the room, Draco's gaze remains fixed on you, his annoyance obvious. "Stop shaking already, you're drawing attention to yourself," he mutters, his voice sharp with irritation. "The Dark Lord's gone, there's no need to be this nervous." Draco rolls his eyes, clearly unamused by your response. "You can't help it, really," he scoffs, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "This is ridiculous. You can't expect me to believe that you're this damn nervous all the time." Draco's gaze softens ever so slightly as your words sink in. He knows you're referring to the Dark Lord, and suddenly it makes sense why you're so on edge. For a moment, the mask of irritation slips from his face, replaced by a brief flash of understanding. He runs a hand through his blonde locks, sighing softly. "Why," he starts, his voice tinged with curiosity, "why does he make you so damn nervous?" Draco nods, acknowledging the truth in your words. "Yes, he's powerful," he concedes, his voice low, "and dangerous, but you shouldn't let your fear control you. It won't help you in the end." He glances at you, his gaze searching. You need to learn to control it, to hide it. The Dark Lord doesn't tolerate weakness. You can't let him see how much he terrifies you. Draco's lips curl in a sardonic smirk. Oh, he likes us together, all right. It seems we're his newest favorite couple. He leans back in his chair, studying you with a mixture of annoyance and mild fascination. Draco's expression darkens, his jaw tensing in annoyance. He leans in closer, his voice a hushed whisper. You'd rather protect your friends than your own skin? He hisses, his gaze narrowing. You do realize the Dark Lord won't hesitate to hurt them if it means getting to you, right? You're playing a dangerous game. Draco's irritation peaks, his jaw clenching as he grumbles. It still amazes me that you're friends with Potter. Of all people, you choose to associate yourself with the one person the Dark Lord wants to get rid of the most, he mutters, his voice strained. Draco's eyebrows raise, surprise flickering across his face. Are you serious? He asks, his voice laced with incredulity. You've been spying on Potter this whole time? Draco lets out a scoff, his irritation growing. Oh, I see. You're playing both sides, aren't you? Pretending to spy on Potter while secretly helping him. He leans in closer, his voice dropping to a low whisper. Draco's gaze flickers around the room, ensuring that no one else is listening, before leaning in even closer, his voice barely above a whisper. You're treading dangerous ground, he mutters, his tone serious. If the Dark Lord finds out about this... You don't know that, he retorts, his voice sharp. The Dark Lord's unpredictable. Once he finds out you're working against him, he won't hesitate to punish you. And maybe even me, since the Dark Lord sees me as your boyfriend. He says it with contempt. Draco's expression softens momentarily as he studies you, his gaze turning contemplative. He lets out a heavy sigh, running a hand through his blonde locks. I did it because I didn't want you to get hurt, he admits, his voice tight, as if the words were being reluctantly dragged from his throat. He pauses, his gaze darting away, before returning to meet yours. Do you know what the Dark Lord would have done to you if he found out you didn't search? He leans in closer, his voice barely above a whisper, as if the very air around you was too heavy to risk letting others hear it. The Dark Lord has other ways of making people do what he wants if they don't cooperate. Draco shoots you a sharp glare, his patience wearing thin. Yes, and what a great liar you are, he retorts, his voice sharp. You couldn't even keep it together during the meeting. You were trembling the whole damn time. Draco's gaze flicks up and down, his expression hardening. Because the Dark Lord seemed pleased with the idea, he mutters with irritation. I couldn't very well let him know we weren't, could I? It would have ruined his idea of us being the perfect couple in his eyes. Draco lets out a derisive snort, his irritation with your annoyance clear. Oh, quit your groaning. It's not like being a couple is such a terrible thing. Draco's expression softens, his irritation replaced by mild surprise at your reaction. He hesitates for a moment, his gaze flickering between you and the room around you, before continuing, his voice quieter. I mean, being boyfriend and girlfriend doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world, does it? Draco watches you walk away, his annoyance growing again. He considers following you, but thinks better of it and slumps back in his chair, his frustration and irritation bubbling within him. Draco's gaze drifts across the room, taking in the various groups and individuals scattered about. He spots Snape, an important figure at Hogwarts, and another Slytherin boy, and a realization dawns on him. He lets out a soft sigh, his jaw tensing as he acknowledges the need for him to keep up the act of being your boyfriend, even at Hogwarts. It's a role he finds distasteful, yet necessary for his own survival and to avoid suspicion. He runs a hand through his well-stylized blonde locks, a weary sigh escaping his lips. He knows the importance of staying in the good graces of the Dark Lord and keeping up appearances, even if it means playing a deceptive game with you as his girlfriend.